Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Algo, what's going on, my friend?
What's up? How's it going?
Dude, it's awesome having you in the office.
Yeah, sick being here.
First time in Shy?
Yeah, first time. So my dad, he travels up here for work all the time, but I've never been up here, so first time.
Beautiful. Well, that was a blast at the Cubs game last night.
Yesterday was sick, yeah. With the NRFI hit play of the day.
That was
awesome.
insane. We hit the game. Algo, of course, was on the right side of the NRFI. It was literally the most electric 6 outs I've ever watched.
Leadoff double from Nimmo in the top, and then Smiley got out of it, struck out the last guy, and then Mejo actually, who Could I Sing was supposed to start, got scratched, and Tyler Mejo came in and shut him down, which was sick. That was awesome.
Well, hey, that's not the first Nerf you've cashed this year, so I want to dive into kind of how you've been this year and really how you got started in this whole industry in general. Because, like I said, it's people call it the most electric 6 outs in baseball for a reason. So I would love to hear the backstory on how NRFI Algo came to be.
Yeah, so it's actually it's a pretty funny story. So I actually got a bid for my fraternity, and I was a pledge at the time, and then so my rush chair was like, give me a bet for tomorrow, and if it doesn't hit, you're gonna be in big trouble. So I'm a pledge, and I think it's the biggest deal in the world. I'm scared to death. So I go on my computer, and I think it was Max Free versus Sandy Alcantara for throwing. So I told him, I said, bet the no run first inning on this game. So it cashed, of course, the first time, and he was like, send me one the rest of the week. So I sent him one every single day that week. And the first 4 hit, and I was like, this is way too easy. Obviously it's not once you actually get into it, but when you're a beginner, you're like, this is so easy. This is awesome. So I went to a game on the 7th day, and it was a Braves game. It was Freed versus a pitcher for the Marlins. It may have been Alcantara again, I think. Anyways, I went to that game. I told him to bet the NRFI on that game, and I watched it in person, and I finally saw it hit in person. This is all before Twitter. No Twitter here. I was just texting him these plays. And that first 7 day stretch, I think I went 6-1. But I saw it in person. I was like, this is awesome. And NRFIs weren't even a big thing at the time. I mean, they were known, but they weren't to what they are now. So my rush chair said, the rest of the summer, there was about a month left of summer. He said, you're going to send me a NRFI every single day of the week. Yeah. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And then so me and my buddies as a joke were like, why don't I just copy of whatever? I mean, I'm doing research. Why don't I just copy whatever I sent him and put it on Twitter just as a joke?
Yeah.
So then I started doing it for a couple of days, and I was like, let me look more into this. So then I made this mini algorithm with about 7 stats. I had maybe 3 posts on Twitter. And I named it NRFI algorithm, and would just every text I would send my rush chair, I'd literally just copy it and put it on Twitter. And me and my buddy would like and comment under the post, and we did have 2 likes and 2 comments, and it was us 2. And we'd be like, cash it, cash it. It was hilarious. So then I did it for about a month with just copying that text message, and then I put it on Twitter. Had this mini algorithm with about 7 stats that broke it down and kind of just showed me the best play of the day. Still very small scale. And then so I did that for a month and got to 1,000 followers just over time, and just slowly growth, posting every single day, 3 posts a day, stuff like that. And then so then Pledgeship rolls around this was all during the summer. So then I go to school and Pledgeship officially starts, and they cut off all social media. So they just want to make your life miserable. Like you're a pledge. They just want you to moan and groan all day. So I had to delete Twitter. So Twitter, I shut that down. And then so by the time Pledgeship ended and I got social media back, the season was over. I was like, So I didn't think much about it. I mean, it was nothing at the time. I thought it was a cool thing. Anyway, so I come back opening day that next year, and I start off super strong, went 4-0 the first 4 days. And starting at opening day, I had 1,000 followers, and then 4 days after opening day, I had 25,000. And it was just
my gosh.
absurd. I had Booking with Trent retweet my stuff. That was the eye opening was when Booking with Trent retweeted it. Well, this is a funny story. So I went 4-0, and he retweeted my 4th win. He was all about it. And then after that, once he retweeted, I went 0-4 the next 4 days. And I was getting all this, like, all these comments and stuff. It was hilarious because it was literally like, you hear like the reverse strings of Book with Trent, but it was so clear. Like, it was like 4-0, retweets it, 0-4 right after.
0-4 followed up.
So then the rest of this was all last season. So last season, I just post every single day. And then at the end of the year, I got up to 38,000 and then just started back up this year. And we've I think I'm up to about 56.5 right now. So.
Jeez. Sounds like you owe your pledge master a beer for starting this whole thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I've got him a few gifts. So he's very deserved, but he comes up to me sometimes. He's like, get some equity, right? Equity in the account. So he's a cool guy though. So it's funny story how it started and then
that's crazy
to where it is now. It's so funny how it started as a joke, and me and my buddy would just we literally why don't we just put him on Twitter for fun? And I'd put like the "Are you not entertained?" like gifs and stuff like that, and then it's just scaled up to what it is now. So
what's hilarious is that you mentioned earlier is that like NRFIs weren't really that well known up until 2 years ago. Really, I mean, I played baseball my whole life and loved sports betting my whole life, and I had never even heard of them. When did you really start to see kind of the tides change and people start to get really interested in them?
Yeah, so a bunch of my buddies gamble, and this was like when the NRFI was kind of getting on board. I hit it at the perfect time because right when it was exploding is right when I made the account. But some of my buddies watched them, and I didn't know one thing about betting 2.5 years ago, really. I mean, I knew how odds work, but I'd never bet or anything. So then all my buddies, they were like, this is when the NRFI was getting big, so they loved it. And I'd see them watch it because I'm a baseball guy, watch baseball all the time, but I would see them watching. I was like, this is sick. So that's when I first sent that bet over to my rush chairs when I was doing the NRFI and I saw my buddies watch it. So I was like, and then I saw the first one in person and I was like, I'm in love. Like, this is sick. And that's when it was getting big, which is so weird because it's a blessing because right when I hit it, it's just the NRFI like sector exploded. So it's just almost match made in heaven when I got in there. Timing
is truly everything.
I know it is. It's awesome.
So I've tailed you for a while now, and it's fun. You do a really strong mix of no runs first inning as well as yes runs first inning. In your eyes, what's more electric to cash, a NRFI or a YRFI?
So I think so. VIP gets the YRFIs. That's their thing. It's like, and then every day there's that free NRFI of the day. But I think when there's like there was one earlier this year, and it was Edward Cabrera was throwing first and third. It was bottom of the first, and he walked the first guy. The next guy got a base hit, so it was first and third, no outs. And I'm like, it's over. And then he just goes strike out, strike out, strike out. And I think that's the most electric thing ever. Yeah. Is when you think you have no shot, you get some hope, and it just escalates like a snowball. And then it just like that last batter, you're shaking. You're like, come on. And then he just throws that strike three on that last guy. It's electric. But it's also cool. Like, I've had a few YRFIs this year where it'll be top of the first is 3 up, 3 down. Bottom of the first is out, out. And then you have that 3-hole, like a judge guy come up. Yeah. And it's like, come on, kind of send a prey out there. And then you just see that ball fly, and it's like, go. And then it goes over the fence, and it's wild. I still think the NRFI's a little bit more electric there. Yeah.
Let's talk about actually, like, what goes into the algorithm itself. I know you mentioned earlier that there was an early version that was just kind of 7 different stats. How were you able to pick and choose which stats you wanted included, and do you make any adjustments kind of as time goes on? Yeah,
for sure. So I'm going to try to stay as much, not be too specific. Just because
it's your secret sauce.
It's the secret sauce. But I mean, at the beginning, I'm a baseball guy, so I grew up playing baseball my whole life, and I kind of knew, like I would look at just like first 3 batters really, and just how good the pitchers were. That's what like the mini algorithm was. I just looked at how good the 2 pitchers were, and then how good kind of the first 3 hitters were. But now there's so many different stats that go into it. There's about 17 now in the algorithm. So there's stats all across the board, and some obviously hold more weight than others.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any like stats that hold just a little weight that can affect which NRFI you actually play. For example, like so when I was putting 7 stats in, you could do like Garrett Cole versus Alek Manoah, which is 2 really good pitchers, but it doesn't factor in how good those teams hitting are. So now there's with the 17 stats, there's so many little adjustments in there that will put a game, for example, like Detroit versus the Marlins versus the Tigers.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a better play when you send two mediocre pitchers up there, but their hitters are so bad, versus just looking at the two starters, which is a lot of people do, and that's how they lose in this market. You can't just look at the broad spectrum. You really got to digest and find the loopholes. That's what the algorithm does. It just finds little loopholes in the system to find the best plays of the day.
Yeah. That's super interesting because I was about to say, you should start playing the A's more, but then you think because their hitters suck, but then you think about their pitchers also suck too. So it's like
the ideal team is the Marlins because they bring up Sandy Alcantara, Jesus Luzardo, Edward Cabrera, and then they just called up Yuri Perez.
Yeah,
that rookie,
disgusting
arms, and then they actually ranked 29th out of 30 in first inning runs per game this year. So it's like their offense is just brutal, and then they send out those studs on the mound. So you could throw. They can throw like a random guy who just got called up against the Marlins, and he's probably getting 3 outs. And then you have Sandy on the other side, which is ideal.
Yeah,
So
and that's the crazy thing is like finding those individual spots. A new thing, like I said, just because I've been tailing you, I see kind of your different playing styles and how you make adjustments on the fly. And now you started playing. It's not necessarily like no runs first inning in a given game, but you can also pick and choose whether a individual team is going to score in the first inning. And I saw at one point you were kind of parlaying Detroit, who was really scuffling on offense, and maybe they were facing a juggernaut on offense, so you wanted to stay away from that full game NRFI, but you'd say no run for Detroit, and then no run for the A's or whatever it may be.
It's pretty interesting that it's a new thing within the past year or so. Is these combo NRFIs actually just got added to Prize Picks. But you can choose, for example, if Sandy's going against the Tigers, that's obviously going to be 3 outs.
Yeah.
But then the Tigers may be throwing some guy who just got caught up, and you don't feel good about that pitcher, for example. So you can do parlay Sandy to record 3 outs, and then you have Garrett Cole facing the A's or somebody like that, and then that's you combo. The only problem with that is when you parlay 2 really like confident picks. For example, if you did Sandy Alcantara and Garrett Cole, it would be probably minus 170, which the juice is just hard to play there.
Yeah.
So you have to find almost like like Zach Gallen is perfect because he's really good in the first, or almost Zach Greinke. He's really good in the first inning, but his ERA is terrible, so the books don't really adjust to that. They see his ERA. So if you do Zach Greinke versus Sandy, it could get down to minus 130, which would be ideal.
Yeah, that's super interesting. You've almost found like you said, what you said earlier, it's like little loopholes.
Yeah,
and you're
exactly.
just looking to find as many little loopholes as you can.
That's the goal, is to just find as many loopholes as you can in the system. So something I'm beginning to actually is first inning hits. So if you get the Braves you can bet on the Braves. I've done that a few times for VIP. I'll give them over 0.5 first inning hits, and it'll be like minus 130. But then they come up with Acuna, Matt Olson, and Austin Riley, and those guys are hitting 250, all 3 of them. It's like they're almost guaranteed to get a hit.
Yeah.
So that's actually a good play that I would get into, is those first inning hit.
Those have been as successful as anything.
Yeah, they're going well.
Posting. So. What's really amazed me is you look at the stats this year versus last year in terms of NRFI percentage, and like runs are being scored in the first inning at a much, much higher rate this year, yet you are 8-1. You were on an 8-1 VIP run, 7-1 play of the day run. You're still cashing at like 60+%. Mm-hmm. How are you able to do that despite kind of the change in the market, really like across the board?
It's funny. So last year, I was at 64.2%, and a month and a half in the year, I'm at 63.8%. So it's like
insane.
It's almost the exact same. But the issue is, so I started off really well this year, and then I found myself in a little trouble. And I tweaked the algorithm. I took actually a day off after about a 2-week cold streak, and I found a little. So stolen bases are up 60% this year, just because the new bases and the pitch clock. Base stealers can take advantage of the pitch clock and just run as soon as it gets low. So they're up, I believe, 62%. So you have to find a team. It's changed the pick actually when I added this stat, but it's changed the pick, the play of the day, a few times, because you have to target teams that their leadoff doesn't steal as many bags.
Yeah.
So like the last team you want to go for is Acuna, because he bats 350 and then he's got 20 stolen bags this year.
Yeah.
So if you can find since stolen bases are up so much, if you can find a game where the leadoff doesn't steal bases, you're set. Because that way, if he gets on, he's going to sit on first versus steal second, and there's no outs.
Keeps the double play in order.
Exactly, yeah.
Bunch of high impact. Even like Volpe, I know the Yankees kind of mix him around, but when he's in leadoff, it's always scary because
Exactly, yeah.
draws a leadoff walk. He's 13 for 13 on stolen bases this year. Like that's a NRFI nightmare.
Exactly,
We'll put it that way.
exactly, yeah. So it's like, for example, the Mets are perfect because Nimmo he gets on, but he necessarily doesn't steal a lot of bags. So it's like you can, even if that guy gets on, you feel okay. Like I believe the Mets have 28 away games this year, and they've scored in the first inning in 2 of those. So
Yeah.
so it's like the Mets don't really scare you at all. Because last year they had Marte in the leadoff spot, and Marte will get on and he'll steal bags all over the place.
Yeah.
So it's awesome having a guy in there that you're not. I mean, a leadoff can steal bags no matter what, but you're not necessarily worried about it. So that's been a big thing this year is finding a leadoff batter that doesn't steal as many bags.
Super interesting. That's great advice for people who are looking to do, something like this on their own or play around with their own. And, it's much easier to just subscribe to you and tail you because you just send them out and all I have to do is open up my book and place them. But
Exactly. It's kind of cool because I don't think with the new rule changes I necessarily would have thought of adding this stat to the algorithm that helps prevent like that first base runner from stealing bags. But I think even if I had it last year, I think it would have helped me out because if you think about it, ideally you don't want to lead off being able to steal. So it's like the new rule changes led me to adding this, which is perfect because it helps it out so much. But I think if I had that last year, it even would have helped me out even more. So I think there's so many little loopholes, like we were saying earlier, that you can find that you can make adjustments to that will just make you cash even more.
Yeah, whether it be MLB rule changes, whether it be new additions to sportsbooks offerings. I don't remember ever seeing even stuff like first inning tie or being able to choose individual teams whether they're going to score in the first inning. Like you've done a fantastic job of staying agile and making adjustments when necessary. But hey, we got our company all hands that you're going to be joining here in a couple of minutes. So I got 2 more questions for you.
Yeah.
Your worst beat and your favorite NRFI cash. Does anything come to mind?
Okay, worst beat. So this is brutal. I believe it was the Tigers-Yankees last year. I had won 3 plays in a row, so everybody was kind of riding the hot streak. It was looking for the 4th in a row. I believe it was Tigers-Yankees. I actually have two bad beats. First one, this is Tigers-Yankees, and like I said, Twitter's all over the place. They're all riding it. Everybody's hyped for the play. It comes around. Top 3, Garrett Cole gets them. And then so Detroit has to go against the Yankees. I think they're throwing Skubal. I think Tyler Skubal was throwing. And he's injured this year, but he's throwing last year lefty. And so he gets first 2 guys out. So I'm like, okay, this is looking good. And he got Judge out the way because Judge he bats second for the Yanks. So Rizzo's up. I believe he walks Rizzo, and I'm okay with that just because Rizzo's a slugger.
Yeah.
And then so next guy gets a base hit. So it's 1st and 3rd, and I'm like, come on, Skubal. And I'm getting hyped and start sweating. And I think it was LeMahieu popped up a ball right to the pitcher, like super high in the air, right on the mound, let it dead set on the mound. And that's the hardest play for a pitcher because they don't touch balls.
Yeah, the non-athletes.
Exactly. So it was right there, and he's looking under it. And he's right under it. I'm like, okay. Like I'm getting high. I start jumping up and down, and it comes up and hits off his glove and just falls.
Oh.
Like it's not even like he was bobbing. Like I kind of get those where you're bobbing and it's high in the air and you start, and then
or
like
day game, get lost in the sun, whatever it may be.
But he was literally right under it, goes in the web and just rolls out. It was like it just got my heart and ripped it. That's a brutal one.
Yeah, that's no fun.
Yeah,
that's almost like worse than the 2 outs, 0-2 count, hanging slider to Pete Alonso or Judge or something like that where they go deep. You were like right there. You had
because at least when that happens, at least the hitter did something to earn it.
Yeah.
But it's like the hitter literally did nothing. The pitcher did his job. The algorithm did its job, did everything right, and it just still doesn't fall your way, which is just a gut wrencher. And then the best, I actually think this year was the best. It was Justin Steele versus Edward Cabrera. It was I think my 9th or 10th play of the year, and I was hot at this time. All Twitter was on it. And Justin Steele get the job done against the Marlins. And then so it was in Chicago, I believe. So I knew Edward Cabrera going to Chicago was going to be the tough 3 outs because Justin Steele, he's a beast in the first inning. So Edward Cabrera goes up there, gets first 2 guys out, and then it's once again I think he goes walk and then base hit like I was saying earlier, and then so I'm sitting there first and third, no outs, and I'm like, there's no life here. It's kind of any ground ball they're going. It's not like they're throwing it home. They're just
they're going to take double play.
Two play, or double play. So, but Edward Cabrera is a strikeout guy, and I was like, maybe there's some life here because he throws 97 with that running sinker. And then so I think first batter he goes pop fly to the shortstop. I'm like, all right, we got life.
There's one.
Yeah, and that
Give
first
me a 6-4-3.
that first out's huge because then the double play's in order. And then so next guy comes up. I think it was Bellinger that was coming up, and I was scared to death of Bellinger because it's lefty on righty. Bellinger in Chicago. Because to start the year, he started off like hitting 400.
Yeah,
he was
super hot.
Super hot. And I'm like, it's not looking good at all. So Bellinger, Edward Cabrera throws his like 95-mile-an-hour changeup that's just gross and strikes out Bellinger. And I'm like, no way. So I'm jumping up and down right now, 2 outs. And then so still first and third. And I actually think Edward Cabrera walked the next guy. So then it got to bases loaded. And I'm like, because first and third, Edward Cabrera's a big walk guy. So you can afford to walk there, but bases loaded, you're done.
You definitely don't want to walk in.
Yeah. So, and then it gets to bases loaded, 2 outs. I can't forget who was hitting, but there gets 2 shots. I think it was a 1-2 count. And I'm sitting there like, this is what you live for. Bases loaded, bottom of the first, 2 outs, 2 strikes. And then so he throws another, I think he throws that changeup again, and then just whiffs and strikes him out. And that was wild. Yeah, going wild. So those are always the best when it's you think you have no life, you think it's the bet's over, and then it's just somehow you get that sliver of hope in it.
That was kind of like last night. I mean,
yeah,
lead off
exactly.
double to start the game. I'm like, we could be in trouble here, and then roll over to third, pop up to short, punch out, call it. But well, hey, thanks so much for coming to the office. Cheers to many more of those epic cashes. No more bad beats. And it's been a pleasure having you.
Yeah, sounds good. Appreciate it, Ash.